Welcome to the first training in our series of trainings called the Revenue System Problem. And the first training is about why more leads won't fix your growth problem. If you are having some issues growing or you just don't know the next steps, a lot of times people will just say you just need to generate more leads, run more ads. But we're going to go through today why that might not necessarily solve your problem and what can help instead. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about what we're going to cover in this training specifically. This is obviously the first training in the series of how aesthetic and wellness businesses can take attention and turn it into appointments, revenue, and even more importantly, revenue, lifetime value. So we're going to go over why more leads is not only the answer. We're going to talk about where businesses specifically lose revenue after a lead actually comes in. And then we're going to talk about a revenue system that can turn attention into bookings and sales. We're also going to dive a little bit more into what to fix before you even spend more money on ads. And if you're not running ads already, this will be really good to help you when you are ready. And if you are running ads, it's a good way to test as a barometer to see where we might be losing money and what you can do to improve. All right, so for the next few minutes, I want you guys to pay attention and think beyond leads, ads, and clicks, which is what a lot of people are always interested in, what they're pushing. The real question is not necessarily how do we generate more leads? How do we make more money? The question is, what happens after someone raises their hand? Or essentially, what happens after you get somebody's attention? So this training system is about the system behind the lead, not just about the lead itself. That being said, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Why am I even into this? I've been in digital marketing for 15 plus years. I've spent over 4 years now helping specifically aesthetic and wellness businesses grow. We've been running campaigns, building websites, improving follow-up and tracking revenue for all different types of aesthetic and wellness businesses for many years. And we've seen a good amount of businesses struggle, not because some of their marketing tactics are not in place, but there's no system and it's disconnected. So good marketing, in our opinion, is it's not just traffic, it's the path that goes from attention to revenue. And we're going to show you that path. So who is this for specifically? Some of you might be getting leads, but you're not getting enough book consultations. This is for you. You might hear you're getting bad leads. Your team's saying, oh, we're generating leads. They're bad leads though. And you aren't really sure what that means or why. You may or may not be spending money on ads, but either way, your revenue feels inconsistent. You want growth that is predictable and a lot less random. And you know your business could convert more of the interest it already has. You just aren't sure how. So this is for owners who want a whole path to working better. Who is this not for? Because that's as important as well too. So if you're only interested in, hey, I want to generate more clicks. I just need more clicks. I got to get my clicks. I got to get my likes up. I got to get my vanity metrics up. That is not going to work with this system if that's all you're interested in. If you think ads are going to just fix everything for you, we just need to run a better ad. We just need a better creative. Ads will not fix every sales or consultation issue. There's more steps in the process than just the ads. If you don't have any type of tracking set up or you're not willing to track or put a little bit of time to understand where your leads are coming from, this was most likely not for you. And if you're just looking for a quick hack, if you just want a shortcut, a quick SOP or something that you can just implement, this is a better system. This isn't just a quick hack. So if we ignore all the background and everything in the foundation, scaling traffic is just going to scale more of your confusion. So most businesses either think or have been told they have a lead problem. They say, you just need to generate more leads. You just need to spend more. You just need to market more. And that's usually what happens when growth slows down. Business owners start thinking we need more leads. But more leads does not necessarily fix the problem if you have a weak follow-up process, if you have a confusing offer, if you have a poor consultation process, or you're missing some kind of retention system. These are some of the steps. And if you're missing some of these or some of these are not very efficient, it's kind of like a leak in a bucket, right? And you keep pour as many leads or as much water as you want into the bucket. But if you have one of these holes in here, the water is just going to come out. More leads are going to be valuable to you when you or the business can turn them into actual revenue. So how do we do that? What does this actually sound like when if you're not saying, well, I'm not sure if I have a lead problem. So you might be hearing things like the leads are not serious. They book but don't show. You might be getting a lot of leads, but they're not showing. They came in once, but they never came back. So that's a retention issue on the leads. Some of the leads came in, they asked questions, but then they just disappear. Or they never came in at all. They just texted and, we talked to them on the phone and then we just never heard from them. Or they only want to come in for the deal. And then that's it. I can't get them to come back. So these are some of the lead problems. we hear and we see, but these aren't necessarily always problems with the leads. Many times there's problems with the system around what's going on once these leads are obtained. Now, sometimes there are price shoppers. Sometimes there are people looking for leads. That's fine, but that should not be the majority of the leads that you're dealing with. What we typically see is that the real issue with the lead problem is that it's usually downstream. So here are 5 different areas where you might be leaking that in that bucket, right? So number 1 could be the offer. You need to attract attention, but you might be setting the wrong expectations with that attention. The type of attention you attract vis-a-vis the type of offer you're running matters. The way you position yourself matters. Your follow-up. So you've probably heard this before. This is what a lot of people are harping on nowadays because there's a lot of automation that can help you with this. But with the follow-up, leads can respond, but they're not going to get contacted back quickly. There might not enough follow-up. There might not even be a strong enough just pre-sales process there to understand what someone's goals are, what their problems are, and try to get them to the next step, opposed to just saying, come on in, or here's the deal, take it or leave it. The booking process. So the booking might be confirmed, but there's no follow-up to it. So the appointment can be booked, but it's not confirmed properly. There's some steps that you should take. There's some follow-ups that you can take from the time someone books an appointment to the time they actually come in to increase that show-up rate. And number 4 is a consultation. And this is an area where we do see probably the most room for improvement. The visit happens, and then there is usually some type of consultation, but a lot of times the owner or whoever it is, the esthetician or the injector, will just let the client kind of lead the consultation, say, oh, what are you here for? What are you looking to do? And it doesn't build enough belief, and it doesn't set that person up to have confidence, but then also take them naturally to the next step, which is not always just a service. It could be some type of upsell. It could be a maintenance package. It could be a membership, right? And then the last step is the retention. So after that first step happens, a lot of times there's nothing in the process to make sure someone rebooks. So these are 5 of the downstream issues, and then technically one of them is upstream, where the revenue leaks. And a lot of times it happens, even before the lead is in a chair. So we always say you don't scale ads first. Better ads can help, but it's only one part of the revenue path. So if you're already running ads, it's not just, if I just spend a little bit more and I get some more leads, I'm good. You have to scale the system that turns the ads into revenue. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that we see and how we can fix them. So number 1, a lot of people just look at very basic metrics. So they're measuring only like how much I'm paying for lead. I'm paying $5 per lead. I'm paying $10 per lead. I'm getting a great lead cost. And sometimes the agency you're working with might report on that as well too. That is a great metric to report on, but that's not the whole picture. So cost per lead can tell you if your ad created interest. Is this a good ad? Am I running a quality ad? Am I attracting interest? It does not tell you if your business made money. Also, even if you are getting a really good cost per lead or a cheap lead, it still can be expensive if they never book. And a higher cost per lead, which might look worse on paper, can actually be more profitable if it becomes a high patient value. So just looking at your cost per lead is not going to give you the best indicator of what's working. So a better question is, what happened after that lead came in? Did that lead come in? What's the lifetime value of that lead? Some of that needs to be tracked to tell you the full story. Because if you're getting leads for $5 a lead, which would be great depending on what your service is, but none are coming in and none are turning into memberships and none are turning into high ticket purchases, I would rather be paying $100 a lead and all that happening. So it's all relative. So again, more leads are only valuable when you can turn them into revenue. Let's talk about mistake number 2. Treating every offer the same. So we like to bucket our offers into 2 different types. We have a high ticket offer and a low ticket offer. The low ticket offer is what most people are either running or familiar with. That's a Botox, that's facials. Those are starter offers that usually need some type of retention plan to then grow the lifetime value. Then there's a high ticket offer. That's body sculpting, weight loss, skin transformations, some type of laser work, sometimes other premium services that usually need some type of transformation plan. And what we see is when it comes to a low ticket offer, you really need to have some type of plan to rebook that person. A lot of times you can get someone in on a low ticket offer for a pretty good cost per lead, but then if you don't bring them back, it's hard to make money or to profit on those people. Sometimes you can break even bringing them in on the ad side, but then there needs to be some type of plan to get them to rebook so that lifetime value goes high. On the high ticket offer, it is actually a lot harder to bring them in depending on the price, but what we need to do more is sell that transformation and get in some type of initial offer to bring them in. And then during that consultation process is when we need to sell that transformation and sell some type of plan that's associated to it. That's how you're able to get people in without trying to sell, a $4,000 treatment plan in an ad, because that doesn't really work, at least not nowadays. Basically, what we're saying is, a $5,000 treatment plan is not sold or even measured the same way as a $159 intro offer. So we have to treat those separately, not only the way we run the ads, but how we run our offers, but then really what's going on in the consultation and the selling process. All right, mistake number 3, blaming the ads too soon. A lot of times people say they've run ads, it didn't work. And it's, I just got all bad leads. The leads were bad. What we see more times than not, and there are some bad leads. I'm not saying all leads are great. There are some bad leads out there, but again, it should not be the majority of the leads you're getting. Number 1, we say, did the lead get contact quickly? Did you talk to the lead within, 1 to 5 minutes? Was there some type of quick call, quick text, some type of automation? Was the appointment confirmed, right? A lot of times the business owner will let the lead just book their own appointment. No real confirmation process. There might be an email that goes out. There's really no process from the time they book to the time they come in. Did the staff or front desk or, client success manager, whatever you guys have, it could even just be yourself, did they know what to say? A lot of times what we see, because we'll listen to a lot of the calls, people will just say, oh, hello. And then the potential lead will say, hey, I saw your $249 offer for Botox. And then the staff will just say, okay, great. That is what we're running. When would you like to come in? There's no sales process. There's no turning the attention into curiosity. There's no curiosity into belief. Some of that needs to go on prior to getting you into the consultation and in the chair, so that when the consultation does happen, you don't have to sell, right? Or you don't have to sell as hard. You just have to present. You don't have to convince. And that's kind of the next one too. Was there a real consultation process? So the consultation process should take the lead from A to B. Meaning if they're at A and they want to get to B, you have to show them that path. And that's a path of transformation, right? So if the consultation process isn't doing that and going through, a lot of people have their consultations scripted out. They're not just winging them. Those are the ones that really work the best, because then you can take someone from A to B, show that you're an expert, show the plan. And then it's more of a question of, do you want this plan, right? It's not of convincing the plan works, because at that point they have belief that you can get them to where they need to be. And then also, is there a rebooking or follow-up plan, which is very important for the low ticket items. There needs to be some type of rebooking. There needs to be some type of follow-up where now that you've paid to get this person in, you've talked to this person, you met this person, we need to go after them to make sure they're rebooking probably before they even leave. And if that doesn't happen for some reason, are we staying in front of them? Are we staying top of mind? So a bad back end can make a good lead look bad, right? Even if it's a great lead, if we don't have all these processes in place, the back end processes, then they might seem like a bad lead when they really weren't in the first place. So how do we do this? What is the actual system? And I've kind of talked a little bit about it, and obviously there'll be more trainings that are going to dive into each one, but let me kind of touch on this one. So each step of the revenue system has a job. If one of these steps breaks, that's going to be, again, a leak in the bucket. And revenue is going to leak out of that area amongst probably others. So let's talk about ads first. The ads create attention, right? Most people know what ads are at this point. A lot of people say they either work or they don't work. The idea of the ad is just to create attention, get some type of good offer and audience that fit together, start getting people to kind of raise their hand and say, I'm interested. Then there needs to be a little bit of a follow-up from that ad. Usually you can use automation for this. Once someone raised their hand, they said are interested, we need to get in front of them. We need to talk to them. We need to get them talking to us and hopefully have some type of conversation. If it's over text or over the phone, that's even better, where we're following up and we are turning some of that attention into curiosity, right? Then we book the appointment. Typically, we would like to book the appointment for them. We don't want to trust them to do it on their own. A lot of people say they will and they just don't. Because the idea is that we're warming them up, and then during that appointment, we're getting them ready. But then also there could be some pre-selling going on in there. After the appointment's booked, we can let them know of like some offers that we're running, some potential upgrades that they can take advantage of, and also letting them know about that experience. Maybe just a simple video from your injector welcoming them and saying, hey, I'm excited to see you to come in. There needs to be a little bit of a process between the appointment being booked and the consultation. The consultation, very important part, is where you turn the appointment into belief, right? The treatment plan turns belief into revenue, but first we have to turn it into belief. The lead has to understand that you can get them the result that you're promising, that you're an expert, and that you have a plan for them. That is where the whole consultation comes in. Now, of course, they need to be heard. Of course, you need to actually tell them what the plan is or give them advice. They are looking for that, but they have to believe it, that they can get what they're there for, which 9 times out of 10 is some type of transformation. That goes into the treatment plan in the first visit, right? So the treatment plan has to obviously align with the consultation. And then from there, there's retention, right? So a lot of times, depending on if it's a low ticket item, we really need to rebook them before they leave. Now, how do you do that? Sometimes it's just asking them and telling them. Sometimes it's part of your consultation plan where you're saying, hey, I know you came in for skin pen. This really works best with 3 treatments. We do recommend 3. Obviously, you can still get this offer on the first one if that's what you came in for, and here's what that plan would look like. So during the consultation process, you're kind of already starting the rebooking because you could get them to softly commit to a package of 3, right? So your rebook is there. Now, if it's Botox and it's the first time they've come in or something like that, you might just come in and say, hey, if we rebook now, we're going to give you a gift card, $75 gift card, $50 gift card to use on your next rebooking. Because the idea here is we need to get them to come back in order to make sure we're profitable. We have a positive ROI there. So make sure there's some type of rebooking path, or in the consultation process, you're setting them up for some type of plan. So once you rebook, that turns into revenue, right? Now, you might have made a little bit of revenue on the first visit. You might not, depending on what's going on in your ad costs. If you broke even, that would be okay. Now you're going to make some more revenue on the rebook. Possibly after that, membership. That's where all the lifetime value grows. So that's how you go from an ad where we're just doing attention all the way to lifetime value. There's a system. It's a whole revenue system. So I kind of went into this in the last slide, but this is kind of showing you how the ads have to get you in front of the right people. The offer has to create interest. And the goal is not just to lead, it's to qualify for the next step. So what we see where a lot of agencies stop is they focus on the creative, the targeting, the cost per lead, which is great. That's all part of this. They matter, but it's just the beginning. That's just the first step. So if you have a marketing agency or you're running marketing yourself and that's what they're doing, that's great. But there's multiple steps that we talked about that. This is kind of going more into the follow-up. The follow-up is going to turn attention into appointments. So speed matters on the follow-up, right? Text, email, and calls should all work together. The lead also has to have a next clear step. It can't be vague on what's going on. They have to know exactly where they're going, exactly what's going to happen in that process. There should also be a follow-up, as I mentioned before, maybe checking in, even just letting them know, here's where our parking looks like. We don't show up very well in our Google Maps directions, kind of takes us to our neighbor. Make sure you go here, little things like that so they feel confident. And there's some type of check-in, maybe even 2, before they actually come in so they feel like they're being taken care of before they're even getting into a chair. So that confirmation matters after the appointment is booked, right? A lot of times they're all automated systems, depending on what system you guys are using, but sometimes that's not enough. And sometimes you have to personalize it. I think sending a video or sending a quick message, a quick text, hey, this is XYZ. I'll be performing the skin needling, the Botox, the filler tomorrow. I'm excited to see you, and just personalizing that. The lead is not valuable until it becomes a real conversation or a real appointment. The consultation process we did go into a little bit, just kind of go over that again a little bit deeper because this is a really important part. But the consultation part is where we have to build some of that belief, and it should uncover the goals first, right? We don't want the patient or the client to lead us. We are leading the consultation, and we're going to uncover those goals by asking good questions, right? And then from there, we need to educate and guide. They are coming to you because you're the expert. They want the answers from you. If you're asking them questions, saying, well, what do you think? Or, do you want a couple of units, maybe just between the browsing? Well, you have to come in as the expert and tell them you're at A, we're going to get you to B, here's the plan. So the patient needs to understand that path. And what happens is when you lead the consultations this way, and don't be afraid to script out the consultations in the beginning. I mean, don't bring the script in with you, but, have some type of script or some type of plan. AI is wonderful for this. You're going to build trust, right? And that trust is now going to come through clarity of them believing you're going to get them where they want to be and that you have the answer, not pressure. We're not trying to pressure people in and saying, if you don't buy now, you're going to miss out. Or if you don't start, doing this plan now, you're not going to be ready for the holidays. Like, no one wants to sell that way. No one wants to be sold that way. So build the trust through the clarity, through the plan, not the pressure. Okay, so why can this feel so frustrating? Why, if this isn't in place, can you as an owner be frustrated? Number one, you can't fix what you're not tracking. That's a really important problem that we see a lot. So a lot of times owners say, well, leads are coming in or patients are coming in, clients are coming in, but there's just not enough revenue. A lot of times, if you are performing the procedures, your team might be doing the marketing and saying, the leads are bad. And then you talk to your agency, the agent says, well, the ads are working. They're working. And no one's really tracking the full path. No one's understanding, okay, we're generating a lot of leads. Maybe the leads are coming in. Some might not be showing up. Or the ones that do showing up, we're not rebooking. Or the ones that are getting the procedure done, they're not coming back. Or there's no transformation. There's no pathway to a membership or to increasing the lifetime value. So everyone is just kind of guessing. And everyone's saying, well, we're doing okay here, but I'm not seeing the problem here at the end, which is the revenue. So it becomes frustrating. So let's do a quick self-check here. And I'm going to ask a few questions. And then you can just in your mind say either, yes, we're doing that or we're not. So do you understand how many leads have turned into book appointments last month? So let's say you got 50 leads that came in from some type of marketing, whether it's organic, Google ads, meta ads. How many actually turned into appointments? That should be a number you know and you track every month. It's not that difficult to track, but it does take a little time to just put it into a spreadsheet. What was your show rate? So let's say, again, because you had 50 leads, you had 25 appointments. How many of those appointments actually showed? That's going to show you where that gap is between the appointment and the show. How many consultations turned into sales? Again, not every consultation turns into a sale, right? Some turn into large sales. Some turn into just the sale that they were there for. And some people just say, I'm going to come back or I'll think about it. So we have to understand what that process, what that metric is, because again, that's going to give you an idea of how you're doing in your consultations. What's your average treatment plan value? This is just good to know to understand, are we doing low ticket offers? Are we doing high ticket offers? How many of those converting? How many are not? Do we need to do more of the low, more of the high? Just gives you an idea of what your average treatment plan value is. And is there a way to maybe boost that up, right? Can we get a higher average treatment plan by offering some upsells, offering some packages, offering, some upgrades even before the consultation process starts? And then how many of your first time patients rebooked? This is important too, because this is going to understand, is there a rebooking process in place and is it effective? If it is, great. How do we increase it? If we don't have a good amount of first time patients rebooking, we have to look at that rebooking process, which usually happens when they're there, and understand, what are we not doing correctly? What can we improve in order to make sure we're getting more rebookings, which are leading to a higher lifetime value? So what happens when you fix this? What happens when you change this? Number one, less guessing. You're going to see where your revenue is leaking from. And that's what I was just kind of talking about before. If we're tracking some of these metrics, we can understand if a metric is low or out of what we would consider normal. That's where the area is. That's where the leak in the bucket is. And we need to address that. You're going to have an easier time coaching. So your team is going to know what to improve. If we just come in and say, we got to make more money, we got to bring more people through the door, that doesn't give the team an understanding of what needs to be worked out. And it doesn't give you as a leader an idea of what you need to improve, right? Maybe you have plenty of leads and you're saying, I need more leads. The problem is we're not turning them into booked appointments. Maybe you have tons of booked appointments, but the consultation process is not getting people to higher ticket packages, memberships, higher average ticket values. Once this is clear, you're going to be able to coach your team better. Number three, you can also create clearer ads. Your campaigns are just going to become easier to evaluate because you're going to understand what step it is in the process, which is one of the first ones. You're understanding what I'm trying to do is gain attention. Am I doing that? Yes or no? If I am, great. If I'm not, I have to adjust my ad. My ad needs to be more clear. My offer needs to be more clear. I need to make some adjustments to the ad side, and I can have a clear understanding of what to do, or that can be dictated to the marketing agency. Also, you're going to have a tighter follow-up. So more leads will become real appointments. There's always an issue of drop-off from people, that say they're interested and they don't actually come in. That's part of the game. But how do we tighten that up, right? How do we increase that? How do we make sure that's less and we have more people coming in, not just a bunch of leads that are ghosting? Your consults are going to become much stronger. Your conversations are going to become more intentional. Also, if you're the only one doing selling and you start turning this into a bit of a process or scripting your consultations, someone else can sell for you, right? A lot of times we hear, no one can sell like me, which I get. The stakes are higher. If you're the business owner, you might even care a little bit more than most people. But in general, you might need to step out of that selling process at some point. So these having stronger consults and consults that can then be passed to someone and scaled up is really important. And you're going to have measured growth, right? Your revenue is going to become just less random in general, because if you just say, I want to make more revenue, I want to make more money, but you don't understand how to, and you don't have any levers to pull, it's just random. And then you're just guessing. And we want to remove the guesswork from there. So what do most owners actually need? Here's some of the things they need. typically a stronger offer, some type of high ticket, some type of low ticket, depending on your market. They need a faster follow-up process. A lot of people just don't follow up fast enough. Even with all the automation that's in place nowadays, it's very easy to set something up where someone just gets a text within a minute when their lead comes and follows them up. A clear consultation path. As you mentioned before, a lot of times the consultation is a little wishy-washy, or it's high pressure, or you're letting the lead or the person in the chair guide the consultation path on what they want. There needs to be a very clear path, and there needs to be a very clear idea that they're at A, you're at B, we need to get them there, and the person that can do it for them. A treatment plan or rebooking system. In that consultation, you need to understand what the treatment plan is, right? Maybe they came in for a single service, and you can say something like, typically we charge for this, but since you're here, I would like to do just a full facial assessment and give you an idea of what I would recommend. Again, it's free for you. It's complimentary. If you're okay with that, just let me know. Most people say yes. Then from there, you can offer a treatment plan, not just a single service. Now, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to say yes. We have to offer it to them, and there needs to be a path there, right? Or there needs to be a rebooking system. Let's say they only went for, the single treatment. You have to talk to them and say, hey, if you had a great experience, we would love to have you back. If you book now, 20% off your next appointment. Here's a $75 gift card for your next appointment. Things like that to get them to rebook, because that is where the money compounds and is going to be made. And of course, this needs to be tracked, right? We need to connect the leads directly to the revenue. You don't have to track every single metric. We just have to understand how many leads are coming in, how many appointments are booked, how many show up, how much revenue is generated from that, and how many times rebooking is there. It's not a ton. So again, the goal is not more random marketing activity. It's a system that, again, turns the attention into revenue. So if you want help finding the system, let me know. You can ask questions, leave questions in the comment. I'm available for a recommendation session anytime. I can look at your current marketing, your offer, your follow-up. We can talk about your consultation, your conversion path, and find out kind of where the leaks are. And then from there, how to help them. And then this is the exact kind of system we keep breaking down through this training series. So if this is of interest to you, there's more. We're going to dive deeper into other facets of the revenue problems that we see and how to fix them. And we're definitely here to help. If you have any questions, please let me know. And, comment below if you have a minute on, what part of the revenue system feels the most disconnected for you right now. I'm happy to respond back to that as well too, or get a conversation going. Thanks for watching. And just to kind of reiterate, more leads only help when you have a system that can turn them into revenue. So let's find that leak and let's fix the next step. So for our next training, just a quick preview, we're going to dive more into high ticket versus low ticket offers, and why a $5,000 body sculpting campaign should not be built or measured the same way as a $159 Botox offer. Two totally different offers. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.